Welcome to the Middlesex Moments radio show. I'm Dr. Anna Wasesha, president of Middlesex Community College, located right here in Middletown, Connecticut. And today my guests are Terry McNulty, who is an English professor here at the college, and Rebecca Rist-Brown, who is a criminal justice professor here at the college. And together they, with some of their colleagues, have cooked up an amazing program called, by an acronym, because we're in higher education, we have to refer to everything as an acronym, MAP, Middlesex Accelerated Program, MAP. And they're here today to talk about when this will start and how it will work and what's involved in this accelerated program. And I have to say, I was thinking about this coming over to work this morning. I feel like I have to talk fast because this is a fast program, right? So Rebecca, why don't you maybe slow down the cadence a little bit, but tell us what the MAP is going to be like.
So the MAP program actually came out of a budget brainstorming session where your administration actually incorporated faculty into the idea of what can we do to boost enrollment, what can we do to help a budget crisis. And actually, Terry, this was January of 2015 that we were at this meeting, and we talked about how can we get students their degree in 1 year? Is it possible? And I had already been playing around with accelerated courses within the criminal justice program, 5-week courses, similar to what we do during the summer, and they were a hit. So Terry and I got together and we actually mapped the whole thing out in, over a course of a week, and figured out, yes, we can do this. So this is a intensive program for students to get either a associates in criminal justice, criminology, which is a TAP pathway, or general studies, and they can do it in 13 months. It's 95% online. If it wants to be TAP compliant, there are some classes that they would have to come here on campus, which would be the laboratory science.
What's the difference between a criminal justice degree and a criminology degree?
The criminal justice degree is the career pathway degree. The criminology degree is the TAP pathway to the 4-year institutions.
So, right, so that is a transfer degree, which is really
correct.
An essential element in a way. It's wonderful to be able to know that you can transfer those credits and get them all at the receiving institution, which would be a Connecticut State University institution.
Yes.
Just for the record. Okay. Well, so Terry, talk to me about 5-week courses, because that feels, that's hardly a vacation period of time. So 5 weeks is going to go really fast.
5-week courses are intense. We offer 5-week courses over the summer, and I think both Rebecca and I have seen that students, they feel the intensity of the courses, but there's also a real value to that intensity, so that you get a 15-week semester moving at 3 times the pace, but you're also not doing as many classes at the same time. So the way that we're set up during a traditional fall semester, for example, is students are breaking a 15-week semester into 3 5-week chunks. And during each of those 5-week chunks, they're doing 2 courses. So that means over a 15-week semester, they're doing 6 classes, and a standard full-time load might be 4 or 5 classes. So in the end, you're really not doing that much more work despite the acceleration that you're getting. But it is a lot of work in 5 weeks to do 1 class, let alone 2. But I've found in my own teaching and in my own time as a student that there's a real benefit that comes from that intensity, because you get a depth and breadth in a burst that you might not otherwise receive in a traditional 15-week semester.
I know, I've also had that experience. And there's, is it Colorado College? There's a college in Colorado, probably Colorado College, that does that pattern of instruction during a regular school year. So there are 9 one-month courses. And I was marveled at the idea of, for example, being able to learn beginning French in 1 month. But I suppose the point is if that's all you're thinking about.
If that's really your focus. And it also provides sort of an opportunity that we may otherwise miss in sort of longer semesters for sort of interaction between ideas, interactions between courses, so that you finish your Psych 111 in 5 weeks, but it's still sort of kicking around in the back of your head the entirety of that course when you're going into your English 102 and you're reading Keats or whatever you're reading in that class, so that instead of sort of getting things piecemeal, you have a complete vision of a field in your head that you can then apply to new things that you're learning. Mm-hmm. And that's, I guess, sort of what I mean by depth and breadth.
Mm-hmm. We have to take a break, and when we come back, let's talk some more about linking these things in the cohort aspect of the program as well. We'll be right back. Well, we're back to the Middlesex Moments radio show. Rebecca Rist-Brown, professor of criminal justice and criminology. Yeah. Terry McNulty, professor of English and all things humanities-based. We're talking about the MAP program, Middlesex Accelerated Program. So we were just, before the break, discussing the fact that the intention is for this to be a cohort program. So what's a cohort program, and why is it a good thing?
So a cohort program is a program that admits a limited number of students and asks those students to largely, quote unquote, travel together between classes. So the students who are enrolled in your English 101 class would likely be enrolled in your English 102 class or your Psych 111 class or what have you. So you're working closely with the same group of students over the duration of your program. So the result of that is that you're really able to build tighter connections with the students you're working with. So instead of being one student among 1,000 students or 2,000 students here at MxCC, you're one student among 20 or one student among 40. And the result of that is you form closer friendships, you form closer relationships, and you also get put into sort of smaller groups. So for example, within MAP, there's a bunch of different faculty members and staff members as well who serve as mentors for the students. So I, as a faculty member, might have 4 or 5 students who are my mentees, and that's a sort of little mini cohort within the larger cohort where we can get together and talk about what's going well and what we're struggling with and how we're going to get through what we have to get through.
And will you also have a personal librarian as part of this? So
Yes,
what
yes,
is a personal librarian?
So our MAP personal librarian is actually Joy Hansen, who has been excellent, and she has actually been in my accelerated courses before for criminal justice contemporary issues, the 5 weeks. That's a very research-heavy based class, so it worked out ideally because she was in the Blackboard shell, I was in the Blackboard shell. So any research-based questions, I could direct the students to ask her directly. She created LibGuides for us. She would check in with the students. She and I worked together to create the research project so that she knew exactly what my expectations were to help the students best. So having our own designated librarian for these students is going to be ideal because they can reach out to her as another direct resource. And we're hoping to embed her in, once again, the research-heavy classes.
And so, you're using academic speak, so a Blackboard shell.
Oh.
I'm trying to conjure up an image of what that looks like. Okay.
So the Blackboard shell is our electronic platform where we communicate with students. This is where they would do all their work for MAP, the MAP programs. It's basically like the electronic classroom.
And in that classroom, is it just text on a page that they're reading on a computer screen, or are there other things that make it more dynamic?
Oh, no, there's a lot more different things. For instance, when I teach online, I have my PowerPoint lectures, which I actually put my voice to all of them, and I explain things to them so they can listen to those lectures like they're in the classroom. You can also have discussion boards where you post scenarios and students will respond and they communicate to each other. You can post videos. You can post all sorts of links to different resources. So the professors can make them as dynamic as they need to be. You can even do little tutorials on there.
And do you find that some students are more comfortable online? Or I guess the real question is, what kinds of skills would you need to have to succeed in an online environment? Because this is what this program is, really an online program, except for the very few courses where you might have to come on campus and take them. So
we have a list of what they need for online requirements as far as, basic being able to download a file, upload a file. There is a mandatory orientation with this program where we actually walk you through how to access Blackboard, make sure all your login information works correctly, and we give you that tutorial right in the beginning so that everybody is comfortable with Blackboard, how to access their classes, student information. One of the biggest recommendations for the course is that you really do need either a laptop or you need a desk computer. A tablet or a phone is not going to suffice for this program.
I suppose you could try, but to try to take a course on a phone, because I'm not ready for that yet. Yeah. Well, so what kinds of tips, Terry, would you give a student to stay or stay disciplined enough to actually finish a 5-week course? I understand It's very fast, very intense, but if you lose a week, you would be falling behind. So what would you advise a student to think about?
It's a really important question, and Yi Guan, who's our director of distance learning and online coursework here at the college, did some research a few years ago about what makes a student successful in an online course. What is the thing that sort of makes a student be successful? And she found that the 2 leading factors were motivation and willingness to persist. And in any semester, we all face bumps in the road. We all get tired, and we all have moments where we feel like, I got this, and moments where we feel like I can't do this. And I think the most important thing a student can do, whether it's in the MAP program or really any course they take, is to reach out when they need help. When you reach that moment where you feel like, this is more than I can do, to click the link in Blackboard that says messages, or to click compose and to send that email, or to pick up the phone and leave a voicemail for somebody and say, I'm not sure I can do this. Can you help me get through this? There was other, I don't remember where I read it, but there was other research done that showed that one of the leading indicators of success in online classes were students who send an email or a message to their professor within the first 2 weeks of a semester. Now, in an accelerated program like MAP, that would be within the first few days, because every week in MAP is like 3 weeks in a traditional semester. So what I do in my online classes now is I always send out an email to the students within the first couple days of the class, and I encourage them to write me back so that we have that conduit already established. But the biggest thing that students can do is persist, especially when times get tough.
So, I think this, for me, raises this whole question of what is the difference between online education and in-the-classroom education? And since I always am an advocate for what I think society thinks is the underdog, which is online, I have to say, I think you can get more personal attention in an online environment because you aren't in the back row and you raised your hand and you didn't get acknowledged. You have the ability to phone or to email your instructor and the right to expect a response.
Absolutely, and there's sort of in a classroom, in a traditional classroom. I mean, I teach English, so I think about what we do in an English classroom, which is we have big ranging discussions about all kinds of stuff, from contemporary issues to literature, and I do my very best to make sure every student's voice gets into the room every class, but it's not always possible, and it is possible sometimes to sort of hide in the corner and not contribute a whole lot. You can't do that online. There's a discussion board, and you are responsible for posting to that discussion board and responding to your peers. And it's really wonderful because sometimes in an on-ground class, I might even have an online discussion board. Sometimes the students who are quieter or who are shy have really good ideas to share, but they're not comfortable doing that in a traditional classroom. And those ideas can become invaluable to the online discussion that occurs.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a remarkable feature of online that I think is often overlooked. So what about the other stuff that people always think about when they imagine taking a course, which is papers, tests, discussions? Obviously, very important in the discussion board. But will these be similar kinds of things that the students have to produce to earn their grades and move to the next level?
Absolutely. I mean, my evidence and procedures class online is the exact same content, the exact same tests as you would have on an on-ground class. The different formatting is just that they don't physically see me, which is sometimes nice because when I record these lectures, I'm in the courtesy of my own home and it's a more relaxed environment. And one of the things that you were talking about with the different environment too, one of the beauties of online teaching is that the students have time to digest the material. Sometimes when they're in lecture, they're more focused on writing the notes down than actually listening to the words and listening to the meaning and having that time to reflect about, wait a minute, she just said this. And one of the great things when I do the audio lectures is the students can stop it. They can stop the lecture, go back, re-listen to it again, and then take more notes to get clarification. So I think that's more of an actual advantage of the online class over the in-class lecture.
I agree completely. What about the reading level? It's exactly the same.
It's the exact same thing. So the reading level, the reading quizzes, everything in my class is the exact same thing, exact same requirements. They're just doing it a lot faster. And I've seen my students who do the online class sometimes are much more successful than the on-ground class because that 5 weeks they're getting this depth of knowledge that they see all of it come together quickly.
And this is really, you're thinking about the audience for these programs to be adults who've got other things going on in their lives. So there's also this maximum flexibility within, of course, constraints within the 5-week period. But people can stay up late and go to school, or they can get up a couple hours earlier than they would ordinarily get up and go to school. They can do it over their lunch hour. They can do this whenever they're free to do it.
Absolutely, and it's more conducive to the working parent or the person that has obligations. So you end up your child's home sick. You might not be able to go to an on-ground class, but with an online class, you could just, as soon as they're taking a nap, I can go up and I can do a little bit of schoolwork. I actually did that myself, as I taught online, and I've also taken online classes, and I had to work full-time while I took accelerated online classes, and it worked out perfect. Because my peak time for working was actually in the evening. I'm not a morning person. So I would work at my best time when my brain is functioning the best.
Yeah, that sounds ideal to me. I
Yes.
love that idea. Unfortunately, we have to take another break. But when we come back, we'll pick up this MAP discussion and hasten our way to the end of the program since we're supposed to be talking fast and moving fast. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to Middlesex Moments Radio Show. I'm Anna Wasesha, president of the college, and today my guests are Terry McNulty, an esteemed professor of English literature and composition, and probably apparently sometimes public speaking.
Absolutely.
And so, all right, man of many talents, a Renaissance man.
That's right.
And Rebecca Rist-Brown, who teaches criminal justice and criminology and has actually had a career in criminal justice. Right? What did you do? You want to talk about it briefly?
I was a police officer for 6 years.
Yep, that would be like, right, you carried a gun.
I carried a gun, yes. I went to crime scenes. I dealt with dead bodies, and I arrested a lot of people, which every so often I think I run into them, but I don't remember sometimes. Part of that was actually some of my motivation for MAP was, trying to be a working police officer and get a master's degree, and actually having to go to class really didn't work.
Yeah, well, police work 24 hours a day, right?
Well, correct, we work, but we have a thing called order in. So it could be, I had worked the midnight shift, and during the evenings is when I was supposed to travel to University of New Haven and take classes 3 days a week. And that didn't work out so well if I ended up having to get ordered in to stay for an extra 8-hour shift. I would have to miss my classes. And unfortunately, that happened quite a lot, especially when we had snowstorms.
Right, exactly.
And I have no choice. So really, when I was putting together the MAP program with Terry, I thought about my fellow law enforcement professionals who are in that same boat where, they have orders in happen all the time and they can't go to class.
And what is the rationale or the incentive for earning a degree in criminal justice versus criminology? So are the degrees something that somebody who's working in law enforcement can use to get an increase in pay or to get promoted? Or why would somebody want to do this?
A lot of the departments now require you to have a degree to actually get promoted.
Okay.
Most of the officers that I've had come in, talk to me about the MAP program, it's for promotional. I've also had federal employees speak with me about the same issue. They can't go up another pay grade until they have their degree. You do not need a degree to get hired as a police officer, but in order for promotional later on, you are going to need it. And the nice thing is with the MAP program and with the community college, we do have an articulation agreement with the police academies that state police officers will come in with an automatic 29 credits towards the program, and municipal police officers will come in with, I believe, 26 credits. So that's almost half their degree. So MAP really can get them through quicker than 13 months.
In a very short period of time. Well, so you mentioned the magic word months. So this starts in months. So Terry, why don't you say for us and for those in the audience who are interested in this program, when does it start and what will it be when it starts? What courses will be available?
Yeah, absolutely. So we start July 5th this very summer, not long from now, and our application deadline is on June 1st. And we'll start just 6 weeks after that. And students are going to start out with English 101. And then over the summer, they'll have a few choices, but largely intro to computers, sort of psychology, and an art history class or an art appreciation class as well. And they won't be enrolled in all of those classes. The classes that they're not taking over the summer, they may pick up in the fall semester. There's some flexibility there. But really, everyone's starting out together on July 5th in English 101, because English 101 serves as the prereq for so many of the other courses that they'll be taking. If students are coming in with English 101 credit already, then they may have a delayed start. Maybe they'll be starting in the fall semester, or maybe they'll start July 5th and pick up some of the other classes we're offering over the summer to sort of get off to a start. But we're eager and ready to go, and we're ready to meet our 40 student cohort on July 5th online.
That's great. That sounds wonderful. So if a student wants to find out more about this, or a prospective student, they could go to our website, mxcc.edu, look for MAP, M-A-P. Yeah. But also if they wanted to get advice, like in-person advice, or in the course of their studies, if they wanted to come to see one of you or one of the other professors or use the library, that's all possible, right?
Absolutely. One of the real benefits of the program is that the campus and all of the resources that are inherent in the campus are available to anyone in the MAP program. So even though most of your coursework is going to be online, that doesn't mean you have to do it at home. You certainly can do it from the comfort of your home, but if you want to come in and use the MxCC library, great. Take advantage of those resources. Our Academic Success Center is available to anybody who might need some extra help or need some tutoring. And everybody who's teaching in MAP will be available and accessible in person, because those folks are all people who teach in the brick and mortar buildings here. The students who enroll in MAP are paying the same fees as students who are here on ground, and those fees pay for access to all the same stuff. So even though the courses are online, I hope to meet in person a whole bunch of, as many of these students as we can. And if you want to find out more about the program before we launch, you're welcome to come see me in Snow Hall or Rebecca in Snow Hall, or our email addresses are on the website, and MAP has its own email address, mx-map@mxcc.edu, and that email address, mx-map@mxcc.edu, will go out to everyone who's on our MAP team, and that's a whole bunch of people who've been involved in building this program. And depending on what your needs are, we'll make sure we get the right person in touch with you.
And could a student also apply for financial aid?
Absolutely. No different than any other student who would be eligible.
And I did actually speak with our associate dean in marketing, who said there may be actually scholarships available as well. And so we are actually working on that avenue at the moment.
So lots of supports for the students. They wouldn't be left all alone.
Not at all.
Staring into their computers. And it sounds like lots of rich academic experiences embedded in the Blackboard shell, which by this point in the program, I hope everybody in the audience understands is the virtual classroom, right? So, and you do need full access to a computer. I mean, that really is probably the number one thing you've got to have if you're going to be an online student.
Absolutely, is a real computer, not a tablet or a phone, and also reliable internet that will be continuous.
Good point. So what do you think, as you look ahead to teaching these programs, you've both been in accelerated programs, right? So
Absolutely.
What do you think is going to be the greatest joy of this?
I think, when I think back on my own experience as a student in an accelerated program, the greatest joy was the feeling of accomplishment that was sort of, obviously there's the big feeling of accomplishment at the end, but the feeling of accomplishment that was just sort of current and ongoing, because you're able to break these things into these smaller chunks and then complete them. So within this small time frame, I've got this done, and not only did I get it done, but now I know this and I'm able to do this, and then I can apply that to the next thing. So there's these sort of ongoing measurements that you undertake before you progress forward, and that's really great. And I see the same thing in my own students when I teach in short chunks. There's a real reward to finishing work and also having a moment to reflect on everything that you've accomplished in such a short time.
Do you have any idea what the history of the semester is? Why do we have a 15-week semester?
It's got to be agrarian, but I
have no idea either. I'm curious about it. I've been reading Tom Friedman's book, Thank You for Being Late, and he's got the chapter I just read. He goes through how I would change the world if I had a magic wand, one of which is speaking as Tom Friedman, we would move to the European model of a 3-year baccalaureate degree. Why do we need 4 years to learn what you need, So I think we're at a place in American history and higher education history where almost everything we've taken for granted, we have to challenge. We have to think about it. So 5-week semester is just as reasonable as a 15-week semester. Nothing magic about it.
Absolutely. And the other thing, too, is that these students will actually be able to get into the workforce quicker.
Right.
And that was one of the things I looked at when I was doing the Accelerated Master's Program. I don't have 2.5 years to dedicate to an educational program. I mean, I need this degree, I need this certification now. And that was the reason I picked my accelerated program is, okay, I can sustain myself for a year. 2-3 years is not feasible, especially in this economy. And with people needing to change jobs, this gets them back into the workforce quicker.
I had the same experience as Rebecca, and an accelerated program did the same thing for me. In 13 months, it allowed me to shift careers from IT to education, and it made all the difference for me. And I think for our students, it offers the same promise on the associate's degree level. It's just a chance to either further what you're already doing or to shift into something that's new, but that will take you somewhere and in a short amount of time.
All right, so we were Terry and Rebecca both did accelerated programs themselves, and what they found, among many other benefits, was that they had the sense of accomplishment because you could break it into chunks and you can say, I did that, and now that's behind me and I can move on. But so let's talk about the chunks of this whole program. This is a 13-month program, 5-week semesters, but now some of them may be 6 weeks. So tell me how that works. You start in July.
So you start in July, and you're going to have your first couple classes. The English 101 will be 7 weeks. The art or music will be 5 weeks, and then you will take a 3-week either computer or a psychology class. Then you'll move into your traditional fall semester, where we have 5 and 6 week semesters. Now we have the 6-week little mini semester actually falls over Thanksgiving break. The reason being is we also want to make this program, reasonable and family oriented, that week you should be dedicated to have off so that you can spend Thanksgiving with your family. So it will still be 5 weeks, but the semester is 6 to have a week break. Then you will also then move into the winter session, which winter session would be public speaking, which would be 3 weeks. And I think Terry's going to teach the public speaking class.
And it finishes before the Christmas holidays?
It starts
It's
after
after.
Christmas
Oh.
and runs up to close to Martin Luther King Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you'll start the spring semester. The spring semester, again, we have the 5-week mini semesters, and then we also have a 6 weeks as well to accommodate for spring break. So if you will be able to, if you have a family, go away for spring break and still kind of get that family vacation, or just take a week off, do a staycation. And then you move into summer. And summer is where it's kind of really open for the students to take the last 4 classes the way they want. And they can take them with our normal summer schedule that we offer.
So
But there is built-in breaks as well.
And so it's July of 17 until August of 18.
Yes.
3-week, 5-week, 7-week,
And 6 weeks.
and 6-week semesters.
Yeah.
You must not have liked the idea of a 4-week semester. That's coming soon, right? It might
That's
just be
next.
coming soon,
We
right?
just skipped over that one for now.
So I want to thank you both for being here with me today, and to encourage anyone in the audience to find out more about this program by going to mxcc.edu/MAP, M-A-P, and to take a look at all kinds of things that are happening at Middlesex Community College, which is one of the great jewels in this community. And everybody is always welcome to visit us anytime. This is Anna Wasesha, President of Middlesex Community College, wishing you all a very good day.